This video is sponsored by the Oregon Trail. It's games like these that this channel is built for. Anyone who's followed COD throughout their lives knows that Ghosts is among, if not the most forgotten in a board game in the series. I don't envy Infinity Ward having to follow the end of their trilogy, arguably the best COD in the franchise in Black Ops 2, and have to deal with releasing the game on both 7th and 8th generation hardware.
60 men from Tier 1 teams were sent to face down a force of 500 enemy fighters. For 3 days they held their ground. But the enemy's numbers were too great.
If you want your players to believe the Ghosts are super badass, then all you gotta do is just equate them to the 300 Spartans at Thermopylae, right? Even matching them by holding out for 3 days. It's a little on the nose, but COD has never been known for their subtlety, have they? These cutscenes are absolutely beautiful, and I swear that Black Ops 3 took inspiration from them. Ghosts tried for a new direction with the storytelling, and by God, the developers pushed that in the marketing, to move away from the more military politics of the previous trilogy and focus on this family dynamic between the two brothers and the other two brothers, Elias and Rourke, which is reflected in these more cinematic cutscenes. Gotta enjoy the light, good guys, and the dark, bad guys, reflected in their bullets. Everyone knows all wars are black and white conflicts, no gray, right?
The sand stuck to their skin like a shroud, changing them, anointing them.
So they all just became Kratos.
They were like hunters that couldn't be seen, using stealth their enemies couldn't defend against.
It's such a dope setup to the Ghosts, though. Who knows if it's even true, but the legend lives on. It blows my mind that Modern Warfare's Ghost wasn't in this game. What an easy way to market the game. I mean, they figured that out later, I suppose, but I digress. Stephen Lang's narration over this tale got me on board right away with this new story.
When the dust and sand had settled, only one of the enemy had survived. He was picked up in the desert, wandering aimlessly, traumatized. He expressed warnings to others of a force so menacing and unbeatable, it could only be described as supernatural.
This almost feels like a biblical reference, with strange abstraction on the story. God had Moses wander the desert in an attempt to make Moses fit for his use, to have his naturalness ground out of him until he could truly see God and serve him. The Ghosts had to let this man go, as to have this man lead the rest of his flock not to the promised land, but away from the Ghosts and the people they were protecting, as they possessed this supernatural power that can't be matched. They made this man serve their purposes to carry on their myth, their legend, which gives them a legend just as the Spartans do as well.
Oh, little trimmer there. Those things used to freak the hell out of your mother.
Living in California? Yeah, no one bat an eye at a little trimmer. A perfect first target to try and take the player off guard. And if we're talking about California, why not talk about its neighbor up north? The Oregon Trail is a modern twist on the historic trail with all the trials and tribulations you'd expect. Ripped clothing, broken limbs, dysentery. You gotta manage all these things among your party. The coolest thing is that this is the official successor to the original game all those years ago. And before you set out on your journey, you pick each of your party members, who all have their own quirks and attitudes. Stock and choose your type of wagon and embark on a journey with all sorts of expected and unexpected things to follow. Like when I was playing, I just started my journey and a dude fell from the sky. I wasn't playing with any of that, so I just kept on walking. I won't spoil any more than that, but this isn't just a simulator, let me tell you. It's got a lot of wacky stuff like that, and charm, especially in the music and art style, which is a pleasure to look at and listen to. The Oregon Trail is available on the Nintendo Switch, Steam, Microsoft Store, and now is on Xbox as an Xbox Play Anywhere digital game. Along with that, the new DLC Cowboys and Critters has been launched, adding tons of new content such as new journeys, characters, locations, and a completely new class in the Cook. Right now, the Oregon Trail is 20% off until August 28th, so make sure you use the link in the description or pinned comment and set forth to see if you can survive dysentery today.
Wind's starting to pick up too.
That's another neat detail building up to the reveal. These bombardments would have come with their own shockwaves that would increase the wind around. At least in theory.
What the hell is Dad talking about? What's Odin?
This is cute seeing these brothers so young before jumping ahead. I will say the silent protagonist is kind of weird because that just kind of infers that this dude is my brother now, and I don't know how I feel about my brother wearing a rope necklace, but it's San Diego and shows his youth, so
I'll allow it.
Interestingly, our brother's name is Hesh. In Hebrew, the meaning behind it is loving. Knowing Elias loves the ghost legend, the biblical allusions, and Infinity Ward wanting to commit to a story about family, you can see that there are aspects where they did try.
3, 2, 1, push!
Before we see exactly what it is that's causing this, Infinity Ward brings us up to the top. We see from space the missiles dropping and are forced to only imagine the devastation below. Which of course our imagination always thinks worse, which causes us to fight harder to stop the Federation.
Hey Baker, here's our ride.
Their rideout is named Daedalus, which makes you think about these two astronauts and how they're just like Icarus and his father as they are about to die by the negligence of the creators of Odin, i.e. the Wings, allowing the Federation to come so close to the station, the Wax. Weapons of mass destruction in orbital space were banned in the 1967 Outer Space Treaty, and breaking this had the US fly too close to the sun, thus having their weapons turned on them. Which plays into it being their own invention that causes their own trauma and heartbreak, such as the story goes for Daedalus.
Payload, this is Odin Control.
Odin is an orbital bombardment superweapon based on the real concept called Thor. I don't think I need to spell out the rest of the win for you, but I will this one. Thor is an awesome name because the tungsten rods could slam down with the power of Mjolnir. But Odin is perfect as the acronym marks, Orbital Defense Initiative, and that Odin in myth can see everything in the world just as the satellite can. In an interview for Ghosts, I can't even bother to go back and see who was speaking because after watching Template's interviews for this video and hearing all the same bullshit, I just couldn't care. But this stuck out to me as interesting. The approach to their campaigns in Call of Duty was to have the story beats and set pieces all have the action be believable, not realistic. Ghosts took place 4 years from its release in 2013, so it's believable that the space station could withstand bullets from the future tech. Realistic? Hell no. Made better by the fact that it's a win-win for the Federation. The first few bullets depressurize the cabin. Well, no more use at the station. You take over, you just got a super weapon.
Odin's kinetic rods are readying for launch. This is not a simulation.
Damn it, I can think of some clone troopers who might be disappointed. Fighting in space is a new one for COD at this point. Enjoy it, lots of novelty now. Seriously.
Targeting locked. San Francisco, Denver, Kansas City, Chicago, Washington, D.C.
So all the big cities in the US. I was hoping that having a South American coalition wouldn't just be turned into terrorists killing civilians, but here we are. At least they quickly give us a reason to despise them so we can move on with our main characters. And likely inspired from the ruthless South and Central American dictators such as Fidel Castro or Augusto Pinochet. Then we finally get to see what this thing is capable of, and it's quite the spectacle to look at. Ghost was very hyped about all the new tech they were pushing for this title. From the fish that move out of the way, to the dog, to the actual things that are impressive. This was never meant to be an 8th generation title, as people were still adopting the new hardware, but the improvements they made to the engine show, especially during scenes like this and later vistas of No Man's Land. And I do mean improvements, as Ghosts had this wishy-washy marketing of being a new engine for the game, which I believe came from the higher-ups trying to entice people with the game, also coming to the 8th gen and up adoption rates. You can really see it with all the debris and all the polygons in there. I remember seeing this for the first time when it came out, and it did blow me away. Oof, the infamous reuse of the end of Modern Warfare 2. The only defense for this, it's who really cares? They save them on resources and fits the scene, so it's fine. It can also be seen more as a reference to Modern Warfare 2, so we can all go... Damn it, the direction behind these cutscenes. I can't get over it. Having all the fallout for the nukes come together to form in South America, the Federation, is just inspired.
The Federation united all of South America under one banner.
I can't help but enjoy a COD game just making up some shit. Every other one has been rooted or inspired by some kind of established war. World War II, World at War. War on Terror, COD 4. The Somalian Civil War, Modern Warfare 3. It's fun to just play complete make-believe for a change.
And here, just beyond the craters of No Man's Land, we find ourselves in a defensive war against a more powerful enemy.
That's how you know it's make-believe. You think the US would ever enter a war they couldn't win? Oh, wait. Too soon? And I'm not being entirely fair. The idea that all of South America come together is the make-believe part, but it, of course, is rooted in all the wars and conflicts the US has been in down south. Funny that I mentioned that because the US is known for being the strongest military in the world, and one of the goals with Ghosts is to strip away the US's advantage technologically and see how they'd fight when outmatched. Reference to Keener de Toten? One of the improvements to the engine, I suppose, is being able to slide, something that would become an industry standard moving forward in the FPS genre. Infinity Ward actually mocapped the good boy for Riley, and boy did they really hope that Riley would carry this game. I mean, I think he should have been the one kicked out Rourke. That's all I'm saying. The most satisfying reload. Like, ever. Leave it to Call of Duty to always have fun with their locations. A benefit not often talked about in video game storytelling is the sheer amount of variance they can have compared to a movie. The next closest analog. We go from the LA River to rappelling down a skyscraper, a plane prison break, to finish with a train derailment. Oh, and we started this game fighting in space. It's just not something you can afford to do all in a movie. And for all of Ghost's faults, it has great mission variety. Infinity Ward didn't forget where they came from, bringing back some similar musical cues found in Modern Warfare 2. Cute.
Dad, they're executing civilians.
You're acting like this is news? They bombed major cities because they could. We can't blame him though. Him and his brother are still a little green. Riley's name is a reference to Simon Ghost Riley. You know, a brilliant British ghost. This is just impressive for a COD game at the time. Mostly the crumpling physics looking astounding. Probably the biggest step up from the previous games. Infinity Ward really just said, how can we do all Gilead up again and not have people be tired of it? And the dog was the answer. And to their credit, it did shake things up. Weird I could control the thoughts of a dog, but hey, we can only use melee, which forces our brain to think a bit more than just mowing down guards with silenced weapons.
What's the matter? You look like you've just seen a ghost.
Rourke's a funny guy, isn't he? You get it, right? I'm assuming you've played the game and get it, right? Did they have to put a wolf scene in here just to, I don't know, prove that Riley's the best boy? Or did they have so much mocap that it was like, why the f not moment? I'm going with the latter because it feels funnier. I apologize for my gamer brain being bored waiting for this door to open. It's COD, I just want to shoot things, and I know you can relate. What are we, in Louisiana? The Baker family helping the feds? I wonder if there is...
No more gator, no more shrimp.
After the bombings.
Take point. Get us headed toward the stadium.
It's not often COD missions end to begin right after each other like this, which I find neat.
Outside the wall, their reputation lingered over no man's land like a shroud of fear. A weapon, far more effective than brass or steel.
He's talking more about bullets and knives, but wouldn't it have been cool if he just said bronze and steel? The two main weapons used in Spartan weaponry, but brass is close enough, right? Still has copper, right? Am I smart? Guys, where are you going? This is one of the most open levels in COD in its breadth. Though we still get to corridor shooting, we still walk all the way down to it and fight in the stadium, with the added benefit of the remote sniper showing the scale of it all. It's another notch on the belt how great and interesting the level design for Ghosts is. Immediately performing ghost tactics after joining the squad. Rigging a convoy to explode with no apparent reason is their MO. Okay, Riley's pretty cool. I'll admit it. The marketing worked on me.
Check it out with a remote sniper.
The what?
Use the remote sniper.
Okay, that's really cool. Tech being that advanced is quite terrifying, as a sniper is like a scalpel of the battlefield, and you can just remove the most important part of it. Maybe Infinity War was wrong trying to get the US outmatched. Waiting for the tear gas to take hold. Very nice. My dumbass totally would have just gone straight in.
He's gone. Damn it.
Are you kidding me with Riley right now? No, that's why they put it in there! To pull all your heartstrings. I see where T-Lu 2 got it from. The black fog that represents the feds covers the stadium, and it trails behind the ghosts as they are now forever tainted by them with the murder of Ajax. Ah, I see. For the first time, we get to see what it's like from the other side of the Normandy landings. Even if it's not a World War II game, the still had to put a nod to it. Even Modern Warfare 3 had one. We aren't ghosts yet, so we gotta get one big battle in before it's up. Controlling the A-10s really give you a sense of how it must feel being outmatched to have air support come in and change the hopeless situation. It's a neat bit of world building and attention to detail having the Federation use wind ships, given the oil crisis.
That's real admirable view. But your father's not there anymore.
I want to call these brothers complete idiots, but they're probably blinded to it because the idea of their dad being a ghost is so outlandish, especially considering the other positions he held in the military.
And he knows how we operate.
How's that possible?
He was one of us.
Oh, making my main bad guy one of us. I've never seen that before. Oh, yeah. Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, even if it was the game to finally break it. Rourke is basically Faker, right? That's why they believed he died when he fell into the water. The destruction at this dam is what makes this level the best one in the entire game. From the water stealthing to the random bridges that appear, the water being an obstacle in combat, and the overall presentation and tension of it makes for one level that actually stuck with me after finishing the game.
Alright, let's go get this son of a bitch. Yeah, looks like it's just you and me now, brother.
See what I mean? It's all about
Elias.
We're too heavy. You gotta let it go.
Isn't it the duty of the leader to make sure he saves as much of his squad as possible? It's why Elias is the ghost, and Rourke is a pansy-ass bitch who can't let things go like Elias can. Literally. The white exploding into black. It's simple but effective. Now, is this pretty or what? Federation Day. You think if the South won the Civil War, they'd call it something like that, or even Confederation Day? Like, they'll have that along with Independence Day? 2 days for fireworks. It'd be like when your parents split up and you get 2 Christmases. And here we were thinking he was counting down to the time of contact. Back to back, we get some really banger-inspired mission design. Infinity Ward loved this so much they brought it back in the most recent Modern Warfare 2. And depending on when you're watching this, I'm talking about the one from 2022, not from 2036.
Enemies below. The lights inside will keep them blind to us.
I totally missed that my first time too, and glad they explained it to us. I was totally like, this is fake BS. They could see us. Sometimes it's good to feed the player info the soldier most definitely already knows. We are Ghost Team. It is in the name to be stealthy. Infinity Ward is doing a good job mixing up the stealth missions, how we proceed with the Spider-Man shit. Really earning that mask now.
Take out the TV.
Eva, la cerveza se va a calentar si no vuelve la luz pronto. ¿Qué coño está pasando?
Take him down.
This was really cool the first time I played it, really playing into that supernatural legend that the ghosts have. In classic COD fashion, everything's got to end in a firefight. And it's on the wall too. This is the most open-ended we've ever seen a COD mission. We can go wherever, and it's up to us to search and destroy. Ghosts did try, and I feel like if marketing campaign was done differently, we'd all have a different taste in our mouth about the title. Moving away from the on-rails turrets to off-rails turrets isn't a huge change, but it feels so much better. I love how nonchalant Rourke is. It's kind of unnerving, along with the fact that he's got no gear ever. No helmet, no vest. Dude's already died once and isn't worried about it again. Nothing to lose, right?
feeding him food mixed with the poisons of exotic plants.
This is a nice story to explain why Roar returned, but this visual and sound design makes it oddly graphic, which is amazing as there isn't any blood, no gore, yet this is just as haunting as any Saw scene. You know you got a tough villain when he pulls a Bane, am I right? Ghosts got 3 attachment on their weapons? Modern Warfare 3 could never. The pacing is really tight, I feel, in this game, not having back-to-back stealth missions, which could have easily been a pitfall for the game with the central group being ghosts. Damn. This would have been the perfect time to reenact the legend of the ghosts, springing up from nowhere surrounding your enemy. Made better by Roar getting the upper hand and still schooling his boys in the ways of the ghost. It still works as we are on the back foot and they most likely expect and know how to defend against those tactics thanks to Roar, so better to play safe than sorry. What a fun way to show that the president has been in his little bunker. I've got a soft spot for snow levels, but more specifically snow levels in COD games. I don't know if y'all noticed, but a snow level is just as important in a COD game at this point as a stealth mission is.
Move out. Kick.
I mean, he could have just turned it off. But attention to detail, turning the lights off to not be noticed, and looking cool while doing it. Halo 3's vignettes still being used so many years later.
Oh, el Capitán González. Ya viene hacia aquí.
Smooth is sick as hell. There's a lot of things that feels like a rehashing of the Modern Warfare trilogy, like here being a remake of Makarov's Safe House with none of the stakes or setting. A fun difference is that it is much harder than that mission, as we are behind enemy lines and they're all coming at us from one direction instead of more guerrilla fight in Modern Warfare 2. Just like any COD game, Ghosts doesn't slack on the gunplay. It's tight, responsive, and feels really, really good. Gunplay has actually never been an issue in any COD game. They mastered that years ago in COD 4. So each progressive game needs to one-up each year's release. And when they've already perfected the core gameplay, what is left? And they can only keep those new innovations up for so long. This is more of a win for Infinity Ward trying to change things up, and sadly, it does feel like it's only changed for the sake of it. The point of this win, fucked Activision, Infinity Ward, good job for trying, and the gunplay still feels good.
Leg, help it. Lip.
Ah, there it is. COD classic. The Ghosts are all about coming from nowhere. Let us not forget how punchy the sound design is for Ghost. It's not Black Ops 3 levels of audio design, but it came out first and sounds great.
Get down!
Expectation subversion. I like that the soldiers aren't just waiting for us around the corner to activate their fight mode. They're actively trying to save the oil rig, not even paying attention to us. It adds a nice level of immersion that if it was missing, we probably wouldn't notice, so props.
Its air defenses prevent an attack from above, but it's vulnerable in one place. 60 feet below the waterline.
At this point, it's kind of just mission after mission with no real great story beats, and you know what? Sometimes shooting gallery missions are just fun. Is that some copium? Maybe. Oh my god, it's fishes! They're gonna move out of our way! It's called Next Gen! What's also super Next Gen is being able to kill Dory. And I mean, hey, she's voiced by Ellen. So it really isn't out here. Continuing on Ghost's innovations, the underwater combat isn't something we've seen before in the franchise. And the best thing about it is the lower bullet velocity that completely goes against your instincts with aiming. Something I didn't learn about till this year is how lethal sonar pings are. These pings will literally rupture your internal organs, and it's a plague to natural sea life. Enjoy the realism, though. Gotta appreciate the little movements when they hand animate things like Hesh stepping over this body.
Eric, eyes on your next zone. Lots of targets, no good advantage. We'll make our own advantage. I make my own luck.
Boy, did this feel OP as a hell, and I loved every second of it. The framing and presentation of this really feels like that one scene from Spec Ops: The Line, right?
They could go off!
Now that's pretty dark, forcing a son to kill his father. But hey, doesn't the saying go that a parent should never bury their child? Rorik was doing Alliance a favor.
I like that. Risking your life to protect your captain.
Foreshadowing to when he drags Logan from the beach in the post-credit scene. He can really be repping the OG Ghost look down to the headphones.
But we need to move before those choppers find out where we are.
Well, it's freaking Vegas. Just stay inside a casino and they'll never find you. Yep. Of course this had to happen, right? Just tear our heart out. No man, or no man's best friend left behind. The only escort mission I can get behind.
We hit him on the ground, and we hit him in the sky. It's all or nothing.
Being in Vegas for just the smallest amount of time always makes you feel like a high roller, doesn't it? So we're hitting mission 14. Crazy for everyone's least favorite COD game, it also has some of the most missions. I don't know if correlation equals causation here, but there are 18 missions here, which is a lot for a COD game. But if you want a lot of COD and never played it before, you got some time on your hands, this one will fill it. You know I gotta win the sauce. And check out who we saved. Private Ryan.
Assault teams launched, headed for the Federation space station.
Bookends. My boy's dapping it up like it's right before a smash fight. Bad freaking ass. Airborne Tank Division who? Here's the other mission that tried to break COD out of its mold, giving us an open level just like the Apache that we can tackle in any order we want. It's nothing special in the scope of the industry, but it's quite special for a COD game. But then we go to a minigun turret section, then to boots on the ground. This mission does have it all. The Federation space station is aptly named Loki, the trickster god from Norse myth. One of Odin's sons, always positions himself to be a good guy, but never is. Just like how the new Loki station looks just like Odin, but is under the control of the Federation. These reload animations are cute. And hey, great job Infinity Ward getting more mileage out of your XYZ movement system, from water to space. There was no way this campaign was not going to end without us using the cool kinetic bombardment. And the spectacle of it does not disappoint. This really is just an I win button. Glad we have the treaty about space weapons. Hope it stays honored! Roll credits. Nah, but it's a great setup leading up into this final mission.
If you hear the word checkmate, you will fire in our position. Confirm.
Say again, repeat your
You
lines.
heard me, Mayor. A checkmate hit this train.
That makes me feel better. It was positioned that us dissipating orders made Merrick not care if he friendly fired us. But no, it was Hesh being ready to sacrifice himself, and I guess us without us saying anything back, in the name of his vengeance.
Checkmate.
Checkmate confirmed.
Beautiful. Rourke has always been one step ahead, and even when he feels like he's won against these two, that boy forgot to look across the board and notice the pawn promoting to a queen, coming out of nowhere to cut off his king's escape. I.e. the big space missiles! You get it? Just like the end of Modern Warfare 2. It's like the end of Rogue One, but without the imminent death. So you might have noticed I didn't have much to say about the second half of the game. That's honestly because there isn't much to say. The second half is pretty much find the Loki project, hurt some military targets, dad dies, final push. There's not a whole lot going on narratively, and it's a reason why people forget or even dislike Ghosts as much as they did. There weren't any memorable characters or a narrative worth paying attention to. The most interesting thing Ghost has going for it is its space missiles and the dog. Everything else is your bog standard FPS action game. Now, that was a whole lot of negative for a channel that's supposed to focus on the positive, and I'll be honest. Positivity is great and all, but like I've said in other videos, I can't stay blind all the time to it, as it's not healthy for being an ally of a progressive industry that respects its customers. I gotta call people out sometimes, even if it's like 20 years later. The marketing for this game was straight up lies after lies, and I'm glad that the performance of the game showed Activision and Infinity Ward that, hey, maybe your customers aren't that stupid. To change gears about what I enjoyed of Ghosts, it really has to be those pre-mission cutscenes. They looked amazing and had some beautiful direction to them. Other than that, it's a serviceable campaign that was released in a polished state, which is actually saying a lot by today's standards. And the multiplayer had some fun new ideas like the dynamic maps, trying to move from 3-lane map design, and the perk system being its own version of a pick 10. Seriously though, COD, bring back that perk system. It was really cool. We haven't seen anything like it since in the series. I'm glad to have finally played the worst COD campaign, and it's nice to have it chronicled in the GamingWins library for all your future series marathon pleasures. Remember everyone, drive the speed limit, drink some water, and love one another. Pizza!